Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans? Worlds Collide back again, and we have another 1, 2, 3. It's the top 3. Bing, 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 bing. And yes, we do have that cool sound effect. I'm going to place it right here.
1, 2, 3!
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that cool, awesome, high-tech sound effect. Today, we're going to talk about the top 3 worst signatures on wrestling cards. This has been something that's been debated a lot. I think we were actually a while back, if memory serves. We do so much between all the content that we put out and everything else that we've got going on that sometimes I forget. But I think a while back, one of our requests was, what are the best signatures? And that was before we started doing the top 3. It was just like, you know, which ones do we like and the values and whatnot. And today we're throwing the value out the door. We're strictly talking about the worst signatures. And my clarifiers for this, when I thought about it, was basically the signatures you see that they're like, they didn't put any effort into this.
Lazy.
They're not visually appealing. You know, we had talked about in the past, like the Undertaker has a work of art that's a signature. It's like the best doctor signature. Like you see it, but you know who it is.
Yep.
But some of these guys are like, oh, a line. Okay, well, who is that? So, and I guess we should start by, I want to take it back to like the old school wrestlers. Even today, when you go get the All-Stars cards autographed or some of the 85 tops or whatever, if a Greg Valentine is signing or Hogan or whoever, they put the time into the signature, even today. So what do you think was kind of the divide? Like, why are we starting to see over the past, I would say 10 years, some of these autographs of not only WWE superstars, but, you know, sports as well? Why do you think that the decline of the quality of the signature has gone down?
Me personally, I think it's an age difference thing. It's a generational type of thing for me. I think you're going to see a lot more. It's a lot younger talent that do this kind of stuff. I think they've grown up with like other sports figures. They all too in other sports, baseball, basketball, football. Those people too have lazy signatures as well. So I mean, wrestling is not immune. You know, they are the only one. You know, other sports have lazy signatures as well. I just think it's a youth thing. I think it's just everything's part of a cultural thing where everything has to be an acronym or it has to be abbreviations. We can't spell words out anymore now. We can't even enunciate words correctly
because you can't spell.
Yeah, it's emojis now. It's like that. I can't even I can't even say the word love anymore. That's just show a heart. That's it. You know, it's just weird. I don't know. That's probably showing my age, and I don't care. But it could be that. I'm just speculating. It could be that. And I think people on our list that we both put together, they're all of that age group, I think.
I think something that popped into my head, as you said, is the difference in the age. And I think that my main reason that I think that a lot of these signatures are just starting to suck, and I'm talking anything from stickers to one of one. You know, they could have had a one of one and said, sir, this is the only one of these you are going to be signing, period. You're not going to be signing 100 or nope, you're going to sign one. And they would still sign it with the same crappy signature that they always have. And I think that they probably are signing too much, you know, but it's a paycheck. Like, you know, they're putting the cards in front of them. They're going to the meet and greet, like they're getting paid to do it. But at the same time, I don't think a lot of them are treating the fans like the old school wrestlers. It seems like they have pride in the signature. They have pride on where they sign the card. They have pride of treating the fan with that experience, because if it's not for the fans, then they don't have the careers that they may have had. And I think that some of the newer ones, maybe it leans a little bit more towards that, you know, they're signing way too much. And that's why we see some of these autographs in the dollar bins. But
it happens though, but it also
a combination of the two.
It also happens with some of the older guys too, who are, you know, they do sign beautiful signatures. I mean, you've always got, I think we talked about our top 3 we had before. where we talked about the best signatures,
Hmm.
and Steamboat was in that list, and Jerry Lawler's in that list. And these are guys who've remained consistent all through the years. I mean, decades of keeping that same consistency of beautiful looking signatures. But it even happens to some of the legends. I mean, there's been some stuff like Dusty Rhodes be a good example. And when he gets tired, he just puts
Yep.
DR, DR, DR. But everybody has a point where they're like, I'm just done signing my name all the time. So I get it. And I think you're right. I think these guys sign too much. They're given these, especially these sticker sheets that they get. They're signing 3,000, 2,000 signatures like that. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. Um, and again, the old school guys, they've been conditioned that way all their years to sign a certain way. There's that middle ground of talent too, though. You get to the talent of like, I wouldn't consider like an RVD someone like the same era of a Hulk Hogan and things like that, of course,
Right.
obviously. But he has adopted a signature over the years too, where you'll see it in some things, like on some sticker cards like that. You'll see the RVD 5-star kind of
Hmm.
thing. But when you go to a convention, a lot of the stuff sometimes is signed, it's Rob Van Dam, because I've told the story before anyways, like about having conditioning talents to have two different kinds of signatures when you never want to be a dick,
Yeah.
or a rude person to someone in public. But when, at an airport or wherever, you want to have a short signature, a really short version for someone's getting a free signature, and then you want to have a full signature for when someone pays for your signature, because they had an experience with you one-on-one kind of thing. So that way you control your value as well. When you go out there and you look on eBay and you see like, oh, I just saw this RVD 5-star, there's 8x10 that's, oh, that must have been a free one at an airport or something like that, as opposed to the Rob Van Dam
Right.
kinds like that. So I respect guys like that who do stuff like that to still appease their fans from both sides, and also control their value. But you see that in middle ground area, and then you see more of just like the cheap, crappy stuff that we're going to talk about here, of the newer era type people. But the old school guys, I think they have that respect. They just like, hey, thank you for supporting me all these years and being a fan, blah blah blah. And you're going to get that whole big, Greg the
Yep.
Hammer Valentine thing out. So something really nice.
I think the one veteran that everybody knows that has terrible signature that I'm going to give a pass is Vince,
Yeah,
because like it's Vince. Like I don't, he can do what he wants. It's Vince McMahon.
and I think it's kind of gone down in terms of being aesthetically pleasing over the years, because you can find some old early Vince McMahon autographs. I'll bet you like main event. I bet you Greg from Main Event Collectibles got some really cool pieces.
Probably
That guy's got such amazing stuff.
everything.
He's got everything. I love his post and his collection so much. But you see some of his earlier stuff, and it was it was a Vince McMahon in a legible way. I mean, even the stamp that they use as a shareholder of
Hmm.
that company, the stamp they use has a Vince McMahon sort of is. Yeah, it's Vince McMahon, but over the years became that squiggly little V line, and I kept him off this list only because it's Vince.
Yes, that's a and this is probably giving it away. We're going to talk about a name that if you put the Vince McMahon signature next to this guy's, like you sometimes can't tell a difference. But Vince gets a pass for me on this, because I still, anytime I see him, if I can afford, although the Transcendents, they keep going up in value. They're not like, I wouldn't say they're just like astronomical in prices yet, but the people are picking up what we're putting down on the Vince autos. So
Yeah.
all right, let's jump into it. Let's start. Okay, let's kind of work this out here within our
Well, no,
notes.
we can segue right into what you just said. The person could be mistaken for the same autograph, and I'll start.
Go ahead.
For me, it's Velveteen Dream. I
And
mean,
that was
not
also the first one on my list.
which is oh, that's right. I didn't even check. I didn't read the show.
Our
Uh,
first two, just to preface, our first two, we picked the exact same two people, person and a group.
yeah.
So,
I have firsthand experience with the Velveteen Dream when having it in my hand when I pulled it from a Undisputed
undisputed.
2020.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to wait because it was a redemption. And I'm like, I really wish you would have just swapped it out with something else. But it was numbered to, I think I have one numbered to 10 or something like that.
Which
Um,
normally is like, oh, like there's probably some collector out there that would want that, but probably
of
not now.
course. I gotta find someone and pay them to take it. But it's yeah, it's horrible. It was just a straight line. I mean, it's a slight I wish I had it with me, but right now I think it's probably sitting there with the rest of the cards back at my store because I've been moving everything into my storefront. Um, and it's just like it's horrible, dude. It's just I could make it, you could make it. There's this I I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, and that was mine too. Again, Velveteen Dream. I wondered, like, again, I think this was a generational thing where, like, here I may be speaking out of terms here, but it is our show, so we can do what we want.
Yeah.
And maybe I think it's a generational thing. He doesn't have time to sign these things. He was signing so many of them. I don't remember him having a lot of autograph cards out before that time frame of that undisputed release, which is when I saw a lot of his autographs start
Yeah.
coming out.
Which I wonder how many unused stickers does Topps have laying around in his
That is a good question. All right, I'll move
and,
on. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
I was going to move on to the next one, and
Yeah.
I think, like, I really don't think there's any disputing this, but that's any autographs from the Shield. So
100%.
DA, RR, SR. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's I don't when I originally thought about this, I thought about going, was that done on purpose? Clearly on purpose, but was it done on purpose with an intent to be like, oh, Shield S period H period? Was it done like that to like try to maybe I'm gonna sign in character, kind of like, like this is how my character would sign because our whole thing's abbreviated Shield,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that and I go, you're thinking too much into it, Tony.
Well, especially now that, like, they've moved on and they're still signing things the same way.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, they're conditioned and have done that. Well, now it's not even now. At least Moxley, we get an extra letter out of it. We get MOX.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like he's upgraded. But yeah, I've never been a fan of any of their signatures ever as the Shield. I don't recall seeing anything. I think I might have seen an old FCW card signed by Roman, from the FCW
Signed
days.
differently, yeah.
Yeah, so and it's a little bit more of a signature, but I can't. I don't remember seeing anything from Ambrose or Rollins from early on, so I don't know if it's changed just because of the character or not. I don't know. If somebody had something like that, you've got an old autograph of Seth Rollins before he was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and even Roman Reigns and want to share it and say, well, this is what it used to look like. I want to see
Or
it,
Vince. We talk
Yeah.
like, again, we always, I'll take a sidebar here. We always talk about engagement.
Yeah.
Tag us in these pictures. Let us know if there's something we're wrong on, if there's something we're right on, if there's something we asked about that we didn't know, and all of a sudden you have that card to prove to us that what we're talking about kind of correlates with a time period or whatever. Post those, tag us in it, and just we'll get any information that we can get out to collectors. Just the more knowledge we have, the better. So I just don't I don't know. Like, they're like the three of the biggest names in modern wrestling, and they just cannot sign. I just don't understand. But
yeah, and I'm sure that the card companies probably have them signing a grip
flooded,
just flooded. So I can get the tiredness of when I do that. I mean, hell, I got to write one check a month now for my store. That's already too many.
Do you think it also maybe is we are in this like collector bubble where we appreciate that more than, like, maybe they don't understand what that means to people?
Could be. I mean, there's some talent. Like, let's think. Can we think of any wrestling talent that we know of that they admittedly say they grew up being wrestling fans and collected autographs, things like that? We used to go to meet people to get autographs.
Jim Cornette, maybe? Like,
I
know from a collector standpoint is what I'm kind of getting at. Like, he understands any Jim Cornette auto I've ever seen is great, and the inscriptions are sometimes hilarious.
Yeah,
but from that, so I'm wondering if, again, is maybe this a generational thing where they didn't grow up like as big of wrestling fans as some of the, or maybe they just don't collect things, so they're just like, this is a payday. Like, I'm just going to sign, get them out the door.
Yeah, there's some talent like that who just like I can't understand why somebody wants to have my autograph. I just don't understand.
Have you ever, like, you don't have to obviously name any names, but have you witnessed anything like that from the, like, negative side at any of these conventions you've been at, whether it's wrestling or other?
I've worked with talent before in the past that would legitly tell me that I just don't get the allure of why people want to collect this stuff. I don't get the allure why they want to have an autograph. Like, why would you want to have a piece of paper signed by me? It seems kind of strange to me. So I've been with I've worked with talent who've done that. So
Yeah,
but then you don't hear them complaining when we go back to the hotel rooms like that doing money counts. After
sure.
the end of the day, when, like but they're kind of weird. Like, I've never been a collector. I've never done stuff like that before, so I don't get the allure of why you'd want to have someone's signature. Like, what are you going to do with it, kind of thing. Like, you know, but
That
to each
actually
their own.
explains quite a
Yeah,
bit. So,
I mean, and I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that I've had this conversation with talent, not only from the wrestling standpoint, but from actors and
right.
musicians that I've worked with
Hmm.
over. It's like I like full disclosure, years ago, I tried to get Lemmy from Motorhead. I wanted him to be a client and try to get him to do a couple conventions. And he hung out at the same place in Los Angeles over off the strip every single time when they were not on tour. And because he lived down the street there. And so you knew where to find him. So you go and you find him, you talk to him, you ask him, you tell him tell him what I do. And he had zero interest in signing his autographs for money,
Hmm.
signing his autographs to, like, you could hit him up after a show. He'll sign something for you right there at the bar. But he had no understanding of that he could have some kind of value there if he wanted to, like that, like, in his name. So, and I get it. Everybody, different strokes for different folks, but there's just people out there who just have no idea that it's a hobby and that people like to, well, that's a hobby, collecting my autograph, like, bird watching, that's a hobby, but my autograph, that's not a hobby. So I get it. It's just different strokes.
So you're also telling me if Fetterman tried to sign Lemmy, it would have been a no.
Would have been a no. It probably, I mean, it depends if they're going to throw, like, tons and tons of money at him. I never even got that far with him. And the two times I spoke to him about it, I never got that far of like, here's how much I'll offer you to come do this show and sign autographs. This time's like, oh, I can't charge money for my autograph. Yeah, it's like they couldn't get grasp that concept. Like, I'm going to pay you to sit there, look like you look. I'm not going to say pretty, but look like you look, and then just sign autographs and take pictures with fans. I'll take care of the money, not you. Don't you worry. But
All right, so
they understand.
let's move on to the last one. And speaking of Lemmy, a little bit of a metal connection. I'm
Sure.
gonna go with Aleister Black. Like, this guy's pretty artistic. He's kind of out there. I would expect him to have like a Karrion Kross or Dexter Loomis or
Let's say again, have a little bit of
like,
Loomis aspect to it.
yeah, like a little, something different. A Jeff Hardy, maybe some of these other ones we've seen with these inscriptions that are just kind of weird. And nope, it's just like the Shield. It's an AB with like nothing on it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
why? I just don't understand. Like,
That is just the going trend across all of sports. Like, you look at non-sport stuff, and I haven't been as up to date with my recent non-sport stuff that's come out. But what I do see across the board, like when Star Wars stuff comes out, or um, what else has been popular? It's like that, or Stranger Things stuff comes out, whatever. Anything that has autographs involved, you don't see that in non-sport stuff. You have these
right.
actors that are, they have their signature, whether it be a scribble of some kind that looks like a doctor's note, or whether it be like a beautiful full, hand, handwriting type of signature. There's no abbreviations. It seems to be a sports related type of thing. So not only maybe a generational type of stuff, but also maybe a genre or a certain section of celebrityism. Because you're not going to see it with a movie star typically that I'm aware of that
I
I've
do
seen.
I do have a Tim Allen Santa Claus autograph that it was TTM. I actually designed the card and sent it to him, and I didn't
Oh,
expect to get it back. I got it back, and it's actually in the vein of the Vince McMahon. But I was like, this is too cool to not have. But so I wasn't
yeah.
complaining.
No,
But
no, you got something
like you
back. It's
said,
amazing.
like if you look at some of these other bigger non-sport cards, they're really cool signatures and
Yeah.
not just a scribble.
Yeah, and it just seems that it's sort of happened in football and
Hmm.
basketball and baseball. It's trickled its way in the last few years or several years, however long, into wrestling too. So that's just where we're at with that kind of stuff. So all of them, even if they're somewhat designed with some sort of little cool caricature and it's like that. Like Jeff Hardy is borderline for me. I know it's unique and different with the swirls and stuff like that. It's sort of
Hmm.
his artistic touch to it. So that's kind of cool. I get that. But on my list for my third one, I'm going Becky Lynch. Only
Good
because
segue, because I've got something to say about that after you're done.
I just think that I don't know, it's kind of bland. I get it with the backwards for the B, I guess, but
Hmm.
it just seems it's just to me it's the bottom level is the initials, just RR, and now I just get it like, okay, we'll take it 1/4 inch of a notch up and put it like, a little something artistic in a B, and it just doesn't do it for me.
I
I'm sure there's a bunch of others I could have kind of come up with like that, but when it came like fresh in my mind, I had Velveteen Dream was top of my list,
of
and then I
course, me
thought,
too.
and then I thought like, no, it's very reminiscent of Vince, but we're giving that dude a pass. Then and
Yep.
just went on to that, it's like that, and I just don't doesn't do it for me.
The I agree with your opinion on the Becky. The only, I guess, thing I can say about it to kind of distinguish it from like a more positive is, to me, it is almost like a logo. It's kind of like when I see the Undertaker signature, I know it's him. When I see, well, I was going to say Vince, but it might actually be Velveteen. Wait a minute. Do you think Velveteen Dream actually signed Vince's cards?
That's where the stickers came
Hmm.
from.
Vince was like, ah, pal, I'm going to slide this over here. I ain't got time for this. You sign it or you're cut.
It's gonna look just like the one I got Vince to sign.
Yeah, so that's my only thing about the Becky Lynch auto is that every single one of them I see, it kind of looks like the brand, like the logo. And in fact, like for some reason, it reminds me of the Tiger Woods logo. They're like he's got that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I get that. There's
I'm not
just
justifying that it's a good autograph. I'm just saying when I see it, it's like a brand recognition thing to me in my head.
I can see that. I still think it's lazy.
It is, yeah.
But I can totally see that. It reminds me of when I went to go meet Jimmy Page once from Led Zeppelin, and he was doing a book signing tour. So I was so happy to get it. And it's like, okay, well, it's not gonna be personalized, but at least I want to get a signature from Jimmy Page in the book, right? No, no, no. He's there. You get the book, he hands you the book, but the book is already like, oh, okay, it's pre-signed. Not even pre-signed. It's literally a stamp of a logo. That's his signature. He doesn't even sign it. It's not even signed. It's a logo that he designed, that he wrote, and they made a copy of it and turned it into a stamp, and they stamped your book. So yeah,
That's
but
wild.
I get it. I can understand that from a logo standpoint. So I guess it takes up again. It takes up a slight notch for me, I guess, but it's still unappealing to me. But on the Vince one, this is the raw deal card that I had Vince signed for me once right here. So that's when I ran into him a few times in Vegas like that, and he signed just the one card for me. So little something. It's got a little V and somewhat of an M.
Hey, you'll remember where it came from. It tells a story, and at
Yep.
the end of the day, that's what all these cards are about. So, I guess kind of closing out on this episode, two things came to mind that are just kind of like based on what we've talked about. It then begs the next question: do you think the laziness of the autographs impacts the value? And
Mm.
number one, and number two, do you think that any of these talent are going to start kind of taking their time more, or do you think we're going to start seeing a lot of this just continuing same of what we've already got?
I think to answer the latter question is no, I don't think they're going to change it at all. I think that's just what they're accustomed to doing, and that's just it. That's how it's going to be. You're never going to see a retired Roman Reigns start signing Roman Reigns. I mean, it becomes a movie, it starts like that. Maybe you start seeing like what's going to become like his name, RR Reigns. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as far as value goes, I think it hurt in the beginning. I think we heard people bitch and complain a lot when they first came out. Like when Roman wasn't as big as he is today,
Mm-hmm.
people complain about, oh, RR, it's such a lazy signature. It's like that. I think people, because of his popularity, have just sort of like overlooked that and became like, oh, it's Roman Reigns, it's an autograph, and if it's a low numbered, I definitely want it. Um,
Right.
I don't think it's going to change the value at all. It is what it is. It's the bottom line. At the end of the day, it just is what it is. You can whine and complain and think that, well, give me something more. But you're not going to get it. And that's just what it is. So this is the standard that we're going to have now for these particular characters. I think as generations start coming out and new superstars coming out, maybe if anybody listening to this and you're looking to be a wrestler 10 years from now, you know, do all the collectors a favor and develop yourself a nice, clean looking signature.
Yeah,
Because
and
I mean, I know those little white stickers in that white area. It's small areas like that. I get it, but I mean, other people seem to be able to do pretty well with it. Why can't you?
valid points. I think also that we kind of speak with our wallet, so to speak. So, people are still going to keep buying these. Panini is going to continue, and maybe Fanatics, maybe Topps, whoever's going to end up doing this. But they're paying the talent to sign these cards, and us as collectors are buying them on the secondary market. Until both of those things stop, I don't see anything changing.
Nothing.
So, like you said, we can sit here and have our opinions and critique what we want, and it's fun to talk about. But ultimately, what we say doesn't matter to these card companies, or, maybe doesn't matter to the talent signing them.
Yeah, I don't think it matters to them either because they don't get paid a lot for these anyways. I mean, it ends up being, I've negotiated deals for certain talent to do stuff for Leaf over the years like that. Well, and it ends up going to Leaf. Well, actually, yeah. And both from a wrestling standpoint and from just other TV movie side stuff. And I mean they're talking like the talent's getting paid anywhere from as low as $2 to $5 a signature kind of thing, depending on who it is. On some cases, I mean that's not the case for everybody's. Obviously, the bigger the names, the more money it costs, kind of thing. But I don't know what these current talents in WWE or AEW are getting paid to sign stickers or sign cards. I have no idea. I can speculate just based on my experience, but I have no idea what the actual price is.
Well, great topic, great conversation. Another top 3. Hopefully we'll keep doing these. Let us know what you guys think of these. Let us know on social media. Tag us in anything you want. Let us know what are your least favorite or worst 3. The top 3 of the worst 3. That's an interesting kind of oxymoron. But let us know what autographs you think out there are the worst, and share the show. It's time to get some plugs in. If you like what we're talking about, if you like what we're bringing to the table for you to listen to, let everybody know. Share it with a friend. Leave us a review. Tag us on social media. Like I said, just get the engagement going. And we appreciate your time. Thank you for listening and downloading. Tony, let everybody know where they can find you or anything else you got going on you want to plug.
WrestlingTradingCards.com, folks. Rapidly approaching the big 20th anniversary here in less than a month, folks. So it's been a long, crazy ride, and I'm enjoying it still. I'm still enjoying it. I'm out there putting together those checklists, gathering information. Not as much as I was doing before, and that's coming up in a second. But everything's on WrestlingTradingCards.com. Check the bottom of every single page. All of our social media links are found on the bottom of every page. And I'm not doing as many updates as I used to. I still got Chuckster and Paul and Armand, still chipping in, helping out, working hard, trying to find all those great sets out there. But I'm doing the Wrestling Guy store. PHX is going to be opening up here probably by the time this episode drops. So we got at least a soft opening. We're looking for the grand opening probably in the first week of January. But yep, it's moved in, ready to go. You can check us out at out in here in Arizona and Phoenix, 3210 West Ball Road in Phoenix, Arizona.
Are you going to have an online store for those that maybe can support your store somehow, even though they can't get there?
Yes, and so I'm trying to learn the aspects right now of all the Square accounts. Everything's gonna be done through Square on how to control inventory from both the store and online, and sharing the same inventory and so like that. As today we recording this episode here, I placed my first T-shirt order, so got a lot of merch coming. Got a lot of merch. It's going to be a little more on the bare bones side when we first open, when it comes to new merchandise. But all the stuff I have in storage is being moved into the store, and so I'm going to kind of fill in all the cracks and the holes and spaces that I can with cards and other whatnot stuff I could find. I think I found some old WCW air fresheners, for crying out loud.
Awesome.
Put that stuff in there, and we'll see what happens, man.
And you can find all my stuff at Zhan Morning on all social platforms, Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast, and of course right here on the Worlds Collide podcast, the Wrestling Cards best podcast in existence of the entire universe. That was my best Ultimate Warrior promo there. Thank you
Never
guys for
die.
listening. Please
Yep.
subscribe. Let us know on social media what you think of this episode. And again, let us know what are your top three, again, oxymoron, worst autographs from wrestlers that you've
Top
seen.
of the worst, baby. Top of the worst.
Top of the
because
worst.
we want to know, only because, wrestling cards rule.
Wrestling cards rule, and we actually, may be the top of the worst wrestling card podcast, as I say it. Goodbye.